From enduring a deadly car accident to literally being born under Nazis, some of the stars of The Mandalorian have not had it easy in real life. These are the stars' most tragic moments. Din Djarin from The Mandalorian rarely takes off his helmet, but when the helmet comes off, he's portrayed by famous actor Pedro Pascal. The actor was previously best known for his work as Oberyn Martell on Game of Thrones. Now he's gracing the big and small screens in a variety of ways, not only as our dear Mando, but as survivor Joel Miller in HBO's The Last of Us.
Keep going for family. That's about it.
Pascal was born in Santiago, Chile in the mid-1970s, not long after the country was taken over by the brutal military junta of Augusto Pinochet. He disappeared and executed thousands of his enemies. Pascal's parents were philosophically and politically the opposite of Pinochet's regime, so they had to leave their home nation and not look back. He told Orange Coast, "My family left when I was 9 months old. My parents were young and liberal. It was a dangerous time, and they were lucky they got out with their lives." Pascal and his family eventually moved to the United States. He was particularly close to his mother, who passed away right after the young actor started landing small breakthrough roles on 90s TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Undressed. In tribute, he changed his professional name from Pedro Balmaceda, which was his father's last name, to Pedro Pascal, which was his mother's surname, according to Variety. In the first episode of The Mandalorian, a character known only as the Client gets the action moving. He's a sympathizer of the Empire despite its recent demise, who hires the titular bounty hunter to bring to him the Child, a creature of great gifts who turns out to be the lovable Baby Yoda. Lending airs of menace and mystery to the role of the Client is Werner Herzog, an occasional actor who is much better known for his often deeply unsettling films, including Fitzcarraldo and Grizzly Man. Herzog is keen on depicting the dark side of humanity, which he experienced firsthand as a toddler. He was born in 1942, right in the middle of World War II in Munich, a German city under Nazi rule. Herzog's father left early, leaving the future filmmaker's mother to raise 3 boys on her own in a war zone. After a massive Allied bombing campaign on Munich, the family took refuge in a tiny remote village in the mountains of Bavaria, in a house without plumbing or running water. Herzog and his siblings stayed safe, but his mother still showed them the horrors of war. According to Rolling Stone, his earliest memory is of a time when he was about 3 years old, when his mother took him and his brother to look down on the city of Rosenheim after a barrage of bombs had set it aflame. Pelimoto pops up in both seasons of The Mandalorian, as she's the operator of a hangar at the Mos Eisley spaceport who helps Din Djarin with his ship. She also occasionally looks after the vaunted Grogu if need be, even when it leads to her capture. It's the rare dramatic role for Amy Sedaris, an alt-comedy legend. From 1999 to 2000, she starred in the cult classic Strangers with Candy. It's a Comedy Central show she co-created as Jerry Blank, a narcissistic 46-year-old former sex worker with a drug addiction who enrolls in high school. In addition to voicing Princess Carolyn on BoJack Horseman, she also starred on True TV's surreal Lifetime parody show At Home with Amy Sedaris.
I've got the babysitter till 11. We might as well keep working, right?
Sedaris grew up in a family of 6 brothers and sisters. Among them was best-selling humorist David Sedaris and Massachusetts-based artist Tiffany Sedaris, who passed away in 2013, according to the Somerville Times. David Sedaris later shared in Now We Are Five, a piece that first appeared in The New Yorker, that his 49-year-old sibling had taken her own life. It marked an especially tragic end to the life of Tiffany Sedaris, one marked with substance addiction and mental health issues, which undoubtedly had an impact on Amy. It's easy to recognize in Din Djarin's ally Kuiil the distinctive raspy voice of Nick Nolte. He's the star of big hit movies like 48 Hours, The Prince of Tides, and Cape Fear, a 3-time Academy Award nominee and People's Sexiest Man Alive of 1992. Nolte is also an individual who struggled with addiction for years. According to The Independent, Nolte began drinking alcohol during childhood. His consumption steadily increased to the point where, when he became a leading man, he talked directors into making his characters heavy drinkers so that Nolte could consume real booze during shooting. His third wife reportedly helped him quit drinking in the 80s, but that period of sobriety lasted about a decade. In 2002, Nolte went viral. His mugshot, in which he's dressed in a Hawaiian shirt and rocking disheveled hair, became infamous. According to CNN, police in Malibu, California pulled over the actor when he was spotted, quote, driving erratically on the Pacific Coast Highway. He was charged with 2 misdemeanor counts, for driving under the influence and for having the drug GHB in his system. He later told People, "GHB was one substance I ran into that I shouldn't have messed with." A few days after posting bail, Nolte checked into a rehabilitation facility and got sober again. Professional wrestling involves more than a little acting. Still, a string of second-season episodes of The Mandalorian portraying a mysterious hooded figure marks the first time that WWE star Sasha Banks has played someone on screen, besides her in-the-ring persona. Born Justine Mercedes Kastner Bernardo, Banks experienced a childhood that was, at times, tough, scattered, and framed by her brother's health issues. On the Talk is Jericho podcast, Banks explained that she was born on the West Coast, but moved around a lot, including spells in Iowa, Minnesota, and Massachusetts. All the bouncing around was because her family was in search of schools and facilities to treat her brother, who was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum and bullied for it. Through it all, Banks' mother struggled to find gainful employment, and the family often lived out of hotels. When the future wrestler-actor was a teenager, her mother found a full-time job, leading Banks to quit traditional school and enroll in online classes so as to serve as her brother's full-time caregiver. The Mandalorian often reflects the Star Wars universe, with its title character encountering characters and worlds from the theatrical films. In the Season 2 finale, The Rescue, the Mandalorian entrusts a Jedi Knight with the care of Grogu, and he's revealed to be none other than Star Wars main protagonist Luke Skywalker. Original actor Mark Hamill reprised his role, but as The Mandalorian is set after the events of the 1983 film Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker had to be young, so the effects artist digitally de-aged Hamill. That wasn't the first time that Hamill's real-life appearance dramatically changed during Star Wars production. His face looked noticeably different in 1980's The Empire Strikes Back, because he was involved in a serious one-car accident after shooting 1977's Star Wars A New Hope, according to Insider. Hamill explained in an interview with Gossip magazine, "I was way out in the sticks somewhere and there were no cars and no traffic. I was speeding, going too fast, and what happened, I think, was that I tried to negotiate an off-ramp and lost control, tumbled over and went off the road. I fractured my nose and my cheek." Hamill awoke in a hospital, and when he saw his face in a mirror, he worried he'd been disfigured beyond recognition. He even said, "I just felt that my career was over." While that certainly wasn't the case, this was a rude awakening for Hamill, who was so upset with how his own actions caused such damage and pain to himself.
Be careful.
You too.
A crafty Mandalorian warrior named Bo-Katan Kryze shows up just in time to assist the title character in the series' second season. After saving the Mandalorian and introducing herself, she advises the bounty hunter to not trust the hardline traditionalists with whom he was associating. The two Mandalorians ultimately join forces to stage a weapons heist, with Bo-Katan impulsively deciding just to steal the whole ship and demand information from an officer about the powerful Darksaber. She's a powerful ally, and Bo-Katan subsequently helps with the monumental rescue of Grogu at the end of the season. After voicing the characters in the animated series Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars The Clone Wars, Katee Sackhoff portrayed Bo-Katan in the live-action The Mandalorian. When the future actor was 10 years old, her family dynamic dramatically and radically shifted. According to The Guardian, Sackhoff's father learned that he had another child, unaware that a woman he knew had given birth to a daughter 20 years earlier. Despite the circumstances of how they found out so long after the fact, Sackhoff's mother welcomed the new and sudden addition to the family, but Katee Sackhoff didn't really get to see much of her new sibling. Sackhoff explained, "We didn't get close until I was 25 and she was 35, and we had more in common." Rosario Dawson, known for Luke Cage, Clerks 2, and Sin City, joined the world of The Mandalorian in Season 2, in the recurring role of Ahsoka Tano. Once a Jedi Padawan who mentored Anakin Skywalker, the Mandalorian requires her help to return the child to the safety of his species. The two-way psychic communication that ensues between Ahsoka and Baby Yoda reveals a lot of information about the mysterious precious cargo, namely that his name is Grogu and that a bad fate may await him.
Perhaps he is a Padawan now.
In May 2017, law enforcement in Venice, California told TMZ that Dawson went downstairs in her home and discovered her cousin and employee, Vanessa Ina Vasquez, lying on the floor and unresponsive. Dawson called emergency personnel, but paramedics dispatched were unable to revive Vasquez. She was tragically pronounced dead at age 26. According to official reports provided to TMZ, Vasquez appeared to have died of natural causes, possibly related to a history of migraines and hypertension towards the end of her life. In the very first episode of The Mandalorian, viewers see the day-to-day of Din Djarin's bounty hunter lifestyle. He pursues, painlessly captures, and transports a blue-skinned, scaly-faced man of the Mithril persuasion. Despite the extreme makeup job, the actor playing the Mithril is instantly recognizable from his famous face and voice. It's Horatio Sanz, a cast member of Saturday Night Live from 1998 to 2006. In 2008, Sanz walked the red carpet of a Broadway event, where a reporter from New York Magazine approached him about his dramatically changed appearance. Sanz had lost somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 pounds. He didn't have an exact number because he said he was too afraid to know the truth. According to HuffPost, he confessed, "I never weighed myself when I was at my fattest because I was scared I might die." Sanz slimmed down with a healthier diet and more exercise. If you or anyone you know needs help with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website. or contact SAMHSA's national helpline at 1-800-662-HELP 4357.